He smiled the way men do when they think they've already won. That same practiced grin, sharp at the edges, empty at the core. "Poor you," he said, voice syruped with mock concern. "Still single at 42? He rested a hand on the woman beside him. "Look at my wife. Beautiful, rich, happy." I let his words settle, watched the way he held her hand. Like a possession, not a person. 10 years hadn't softened him. Or me. The room smelled of champagne and ambition. Laughter circled like flies over rotting fruit. The business retreat was meant to be about mergers, acquisitions, futures, but all I could hear was the echo of a decade-old betrayal, the whisper of my best friend's voice saying he'd never touch her. He did. And now, standing before me, he thought this was victory. I smiled. Cold, controlled. "Meet my wife too," I said. His laughter stopped. His knuckles tightened. And when I called her name, his face drained of color. Because the woman who turned at my call wasn't just my wife. She was his past, his secret, his ruin. 10 years ago, I was engaged to Claire. She was soft-voiced, deliberate, the kind of woman who could make silence feel like intimacy. And Ethan, my best friend, was the man I trusted most. They met through me, shared dinners, laughter, late-night conversations while I worked late. I thought their closeness was friendship. I thought loyalty meant something. Then, one night, I came home early. Her perfume lingered in the hallway. His jacket was on the chair. The bedroom door was closed, but the silence behind it screamed. I didn't open it. Not that night. Not ever. I walked away from the engagement, from them both. No confrontation, no words, just absence. They married within a year. I saw their wedding announcement in a magazine. His hand at her waist, her eyes turned slightly away from the camera. I remember thinking she looked beautiful and afraid. Years passed. I rebuilt everything: career, confidence, control. But control isn't peace. It's just silence with discipline. Then, 6 months ago, I received a message from a woman named Isabel. She said she'd met Ethan through a corporate conference, said he'd mentioned me. She said she was seeing him, though he was married. Something in me shifted. Not rage, not shock, just precision. I didn't respond to her right away. I watched, waited. Hired a quiet investigator, someone who didn't ask questions, only produced answers. Ethan's company was expanding into mines territory. Our paths would cross again. It was inevitable. I began preparing long before the invitation to this retreat ever arrived. When the investigator handed me the file, I didn't open it at once. I placed it on my desk, untouched, for 3 days. Sometimes power lies in postponement. When I finally did, the truth unfolded methodically. Hotel receipts, flight logs, photos. But one photo caught my attention more than the rest. It wasn't Ethan. It was Isabel. I had met her once before, briefly, at a gala. She was Claire's cousin. The one Claire had always said was too ambitious to love. Interesting, I thought. So I called Isabel. Our first conversation lasted hours. By the end of it, she wasn't Ethan's mistress anymore. She was my ally. Tonight, at the retreat, Ethan didn't recognize her at first. A decade and a different hairstyle can disguise a lot, especially when guilt blinds you. She stood beside me, in a crimson dress, calm and silent. Her ring caught the low light, a quiet declaration of power. He looked from her to me, confusion flickering into dread. "Isabel?" he whispered. She smiled softly, that same gentle smile that once belonged to his wife's family dinners. "Yes," she said, "it's been a long time." His voice fractured. You married him?" "Funny," I murmured. "History has a way of circling back, doesn't it?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The tremor in his hands spoke loud enough. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse him of anything. I just let silence do its work, the way he had once left me to choke on it. Later, when the dinner ended and people dispersed into laughter and wine, he found me on the balcony. His face was pale, his eyes darted. "Why her?" he asked. I turned to the city lights below. "She understands betrayal," I said. "She knows how it rots from the inside out." He stepped closer. "You planned this." "Yes." He blinked, as if the simplicity hurt more than any insult could. "I loved her," he said suddenly. "Claire." You thought you won," I finished. "But love built on theft doesn't last. You should have known that." He stared at me. "What happened to her?" "She left you, didn't she?" I said. "I read the divorce filings." He didn't respond. I walked past him, slow and deliberate. "She couldn't love the man who destroyed his best friend," I added quietly. "No woman could. Not for long." He reached out, but I stepped aside. Touch was never his to take again. Later, in my room, Isabel poured a glass of wine. Neither of us spoke. We didn't need to. Silence was the language of victory. Through the window, I could see Ethan sitting alone on the balcony, face buried in his hands. Once, that sight might have broken me. Now, it meant nothing. Some wounds don't heal. They calcify into clarity. I realized, for the first time, I wasn't chasing closure. I was living it. Isabel looked at me. Was it worth it? I met her gaze. "He remembers now," I said. "That's enough." She smiled faintly, and the night folded around us, quiet, clean, complete. Outside, the laughter had died. Inside, everything finally made sense. 10 years ago, I walked away with nothing. Tonight, I walked away with peace. And as I closed the door behind me, I felt it, the familiar tremor of control returning. Not triumph, just the end.